Hey guys, Mr. Black here. I'm going to talk to you guys today about projectile motion. Projectile motion. Oh boy. So let's get started. So what is a projectile? So a projectile is any object that continues in motion by its own inertia and is influenced only by the downward force of gravity and air resistance, but we're not going to worry about that for our purposes. So I've got a couple examples here of projectiles. So an object dropped from rest is a projectile. So in this picture down here, this guy dropping this ball, that would be considered a projectile. The next one, an object thrown straight upwards, also a projectile. An object thrown upward at an angle to the horizontal, that's also going to be a projectile. So all of these things, they're continuing in their motion by their own inertia. So they were thrown, they were let go, and the only thing that's affecting them right now is gravity and their own inertia from the initial throw. So let's keep moving forward. The next thing I've got here is the path that the projectile follows is a parabola. So it's got that nice rainbow arc to it. Then the path is called its trajectory. So that parabola arc is called the projectile's trajectory. Okay, that's the word that we're gonna want to know. So for horizontal motion of a projectile, there's no force acting on the object. It will continue moving at a constant speed in the same direction due to its own inertia. So whatever speed it was thrown at, that's the speed it's going to stay at its entire path through the air until it hits the ground or is stopped by another object. So free fall, when we're looking at the vertical movement of a projectile, it's basically just free fall. So it's an object in free fall is only acted on by gravity. Remember that the acceleration due to gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. And so the distance covered that as it goes down increases each second. So when we're looking at projectile motion, we have to break it, like I said before, into vertical motion and horizontal motion. Okay, so vertical motion of a projectile is not affected by its horizontal motion or vice versa. Okay, so they're not affected by each other. So basically, what that means is to an object in free fall. So when we're looking at a projectile, it's going like this. When we're just breaking it up into the y coordinate or the y axis, so vertical motion, it is basically identical to an object that's in free fall. The horizontal motion of an object is not affected by vertical motion either. So like we said, they're not affected by. It combines horizontal motion and vertical motion. So the vertical and horizontal motion of a projectile are independent of each other. But if we look here, so we've got the horizontal motion, it's going at a constant speed the whole time. The vertical motion is being affected by 9.8 meters per second every second. And when we combine that, it kind of makes that arc that goes down. So it's being affected by both the horizontal motion and the vertical motion. They are not affecting each other, but the ball is having both of those things happen to it at the same time. So it kind of goes in the middle in between those two things. So if we're breaking up a projectile, a ball rolling off of a cliff, we have to break it up into the horizontal and the vertical, right? So we got horizontal and then we got vertical. So the horizontal path we have to pretend that it has no gravity acting on it. So the horizontal path is just going to in this one, it looks like it's at a constant speed of 10 meters per second. The vertical path is just like if it were in free fall, if it were just being dropped. So the vertical path is the same as if a ball were just dropped from that height. So it's going to be accelerating to the ground at 9.8 meters per second squared. And so the actual path is in the middle, somewhere in between those two. That are thrown, then we've got, it's going to have a parabolic trajectory. So it's going to have that curved shape up there. And the horizontal components along the trajectory are going to remain unchanged. So the horizontal components, it's going to be the same speed throughout that whole thing. but it's going to be all about that vertical components that are going to be changed. Motion and complementary angles, different launch angles result in different distances. What you're going to want to know here is that the 45 degree is going to be your best bet, because it's somewhere in the middle between 90 degrees and 0 degrees. So we've got that 45 degrees is going to be your best bet. It's going to give you your longest distance for any kind of projectile. The 90 degrees you're not going to get much, and the 0 degrees you're not going to get much, but we'll play with that in the simulation.